what happened with Melissa and Whole30, for example, that allies turn into frenemies in the sense by betraying their own truth and the truth of health of people.
Yeah, it's really sad. The seed oil conversation, I mean, we're a heart and soil, so there ain't no seed oils up in here, right? The seed oil conversation is really just a mirror. It's a micro of the macro. And really what Melissa, if y'all don't know, she was the founder of Whole30, and maybe you've talked about this before. But
no, first time talking about it.
So
set the ground.
So really good heart in this woman, interviewed her, spoke with her, seemed like a very great person. But none of us know what it's like to be in someone else's shoes when they're handed $100 million.
True that.
There's no way I could ever know what it's like if somebody dropped off a briefcase of $100 million on my doorstep, what I might do. The spiritual work that's required to receive that kind of load is immense. And so I don't say this to shame her or to make her wrong, but everyone knows that you've sold out. And the cherry picking science and the, doctors and, there's no current research that seed oils harm people, but it's just simply not true. It's just simply not true. And we know it all. It's the emperor not wearing clothes, right? We can all see that she's lying, and it's quite sad, but I also can have compassion for her because I don't know what it's like to be her. Right. I don't know what it's like to be handed that much money. And by the way, I don't know how much money it was, but it was some probably ridiculous amount of money.
Oh, it's got to be, 7 figures.
And I wouldn't be
plus.
surprised that her meals in Costco will eventually have seed oil snuck into them and stuff like that. But, that on her own journey, she was very heavy in addiction, and she came from massive control. So this is probably her soul's evolution of letting go of control in a way, because Whole30 was very strict when it came out.
Right.
I mean, you couldn't even have like potato. You couldn't do anything.
Yes, right.
It was like basically like super strict paleo.
Yeah.
And now it's morphed into this like, well, you can basically have everything, which is quite comical, right?
Yeah.
But that's a micro of the macro. The macro that I'm speaking of is that unless you know exactly what it's like to walk in someone's shoes, don't pass judgment on them as a person, but you can have discernment about their decisions. It's okay to have discernment. We live in a world where people are so scared to speak their truth out of fear of being labeled, oh, you're shaming her, or, oh, you're anti her. I'm not attacking her as a person. I'm not ad hominem on Melissa Hartwig, or I think she changed her last name. All I'm saying is that when you cherry pick data to suit yourself and your own financial interests, and everyone around you can feel it, that is, I believe, a disconnection from soul, a disconnection from truth. And the price that's paid for that is her own price to pay.
That's right.
It's not for me to pass judgment on her or to make her wrong for doing it. But it is my conscious discernment to speak about it and say, hey, actually, this is not true. And here's the actual science that shows how incredibly terrible seed oils are for your body. And this is what happens when you eat them. And, y'all make your own decisions. I'll just watch the theater. Yeah. That's the place that I can rest in now. But I still fall into these traps of judgment and anger. And then when I have time to process it, I can see it for what it is. I'm just identifying with her as what I would do.
That's right.
But I'm not her.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's the antidote to this whole equation. The real macro in this is that no one knows what it's like to be someone else, to have that much money put in, or even to have, let's say, like RFK you mentioned, we don't know what it's like to be him. His father was assassinated. He's been through so much pain. Maybe he's just sick of fighting. Yeah. Maybe he's just sick of fighting the war and he just wants peace inside of himself. And maybe that peace comes at a cost, which is quite sad, which is a lack of integrity. I don't know. But yeah, it's not up to any of us to judge these people, but it is up to us to have discernment.
Of course.
Discernment is very important.
Yeah. We need to know what we stand for, right? If we don't stand for anything, we'll fall for anything, essentially.
Literally everything.
And I think, what's interesting in that predicament, I love the way you frame that, you have your take in it, but you're not going to character assassinate and say stuff like, oh, sell out, she's an idiot. It's because you don't know. Yeah. And I think that one of the biggest fears, if I am honest with myself, is what would I do in that situation? And would my inner coward come out? Would the person that took the easy way out for the paycheck? And this is a question as old as time itself, like the whole selling your soul for the devil kind of thing. Yes. Is there a price tag on your integrity? And it's easy to sit here now because I don't have an 8-figure deal on the table and say, no, there was no amount of money that I would sell this thing for. But the truth is, you don't know until it's you that's in that position. And I think what you're describing is you want to feel as confident as you can that you would hold up in those situations. But the truth is, ultimately, until you're in that situation, you just don't know. So don't cast too many judgments from that place because you just don't know.
I'll say this now that I actually do believe I could resist it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm saying it in the now, but I do believe I can resist it because I know what it feels like, and I know the price that I've paid for not being honest with myself.
Yeah.
I know that price. That price is very heavy, very heavy. Lying to people about my clear intentions or lying to my woman is just a micro of the macro of what she's experiencing on a large level. The price for lying can be incredibly severe. And when you get to the top of the mountain and you have your big mansion and your pools and your 7 homes, you're still there.
Yeah.
It's still you with either a connection to your soul or not. And so it's an egotism play. It's like you're going to have all these possessions and all this money and you're going to do all these things. But then when you arrive at the Mecca and the palace is shining and you're like, I've made it. The wind is still blowing by. Your friends either love you or not. Your children, I heard a billionaire say this, man, I know you'll connect to this. He was like, this is a multi-billionaire who was saying this. He was interviewed on some podcast. And he said, the real mark of success, the greatest wealth you could ever have in your life is not money. It's when your kids come home from college, do they want to spend time with you?
Mm-hmm.
That's wealth.
Dude.
That's it. Do your kids want to spend time with you? Do your friends trust you? Does your wife or husband love you? Do they trust you? Do you trust yourself? Because that's what we're going to emotionally, epigenetically transfer to our children and their children. Alan Watts says we all raise our children the same way. It's all retch and no vomit. Nobody ever throws up the old way of being because they just assume that what they learned is correct. But I'm here to vomit.
Yeah.
I'm here to vomit it out. Like let's stop it now while we have the power to do so. Who knows what's going to happen with AI? I'm not in fear of AI, but we also don't know. And we hold the capacity to change now. So let's go for it. Let's do it.
All right, friends, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Radical Health Radio. We got a fresh new podcast for you every Wednesday. If you enjoyed the show, consider liking, subscribing, reviewing, and rating us on your podcast platform. It helps to spread this message of radical health. We'll see you next week.